Okie dokie, so here is our frame. We've successfully wired up all of the anode wires. Nice neat line. We've definitely gotten into the, if you zoom in on some of these, you'll notice that we have gotten into the positive connections nice and neatly. In all cases, all of our wiring uses nice short wires. That's cool. So the next step, we need to install these hexagonal spacers. They're held in place using just standard nylon screws. We need to mount our WordClock controller onto the board. So I'll just screw that in place. 1, 2, 4 screws. Now, of course, we mount the controller card with the display connector at the top of the clock. There we go. Now we need to get our connection wire for the controller. The connection wire is a 26-pin cable. 26-pin connector. It has one wire which is a red wire. That's pin number 1. So we plug that into the controller with pin number 1 adjacent to the side of the connector that has the little square. So that's pin 1. Down we go. Then the next step is that we'll strip these to individual leads. So I just trim along the top. Doesn't matter if you accidentally trim into a lead. No, I strip it to within about 1 inch of the top of the connector. There we go, 3, 4. This part of the process is actually surprisingly quick. It's the most messy, but it is quick. Bump the camera. Aha. So strip these down to individual wires, because all our wiring will be taking these individual wires and connecting them up to the various LEDs where they're supposed to be connected up to. Almost there. 6 or 7 more. Trim, trim, trim. Yeah, I was talking earlier about people with glass blowing videos, and they're just beautiful. To take a piece of glass tube, apply a little bit of heat, or a lot of heat, and some patience, and turn it into a giraffe is just, how on earth do you do that? Cool. Okay, so now I've got each of the wires out. The next process is beautifully simple. Guess what? Wire number 1, the red wire. We need to go to connection number 1 down there. So we'll route this. We try hard when we're wiring these clocks not to put things over the top of the circuit board. So we just gently go and do some space into pin 1, pull it through, and leave it tight. Wire number 2 goes to connection 2. No matter how many times I do these, it's always a little bit of a searching exercise. There's pin 2 on. Wire number 3 goes to connection 3, which is down there. So again, we'll go underneath the clock. Okay, let's try and form that to make it even sit more easily. I'll use my trusty tweezers to make sure that I've got a nice hole for the wire to go through. Wire 3, pull it through. Cable number 4. Now just have to be careful to make sure you have actually picked up the correct wire. Otherwise you'll end up with a wiring error and then the wrong word will light up and you'll have a bad day. Pin 4, pin 5. Now, as one of the guys who was wiring for me once discovered, it's actually, even though it may seem intuitive, like you do the first 5 and then you stop and you solder them and then you do the next 5. I actually do all 26 wires because that ensures that if I have made a mistake I can A, spot it and B, fix it. Pin number 6, which is underneath there. Whereas if you've actually accidentally soldered pin number 10 through to pin number 12, then you're in a bad state. This is wire number 7. There are 3 wires that are not used in a normal clock. They're wires number 11, which is not connected, and 18 and 20. 18 is for an optional word number 1 and 20 is for an optional word number 2. I'll talk about those later. What was it? 7, I need pin number 8. There's one case which is special, and that's pin number 9. Remember that anode wire that we so carefully routed everywhere? Well, that anode wire is pin 9. So we grab that, trim it up, and in the short term, just wrap it around the anode wire to remind us that we've just got to make a connection there. Pin number 10 up the top. So sometimes you find, as with all wiring jobs, if you just trim a piece of wire off, it'll go in easier. Pin number 11. Remember, I said that wasn't connected. Pin number 12, which just goes in here. Number 13. Where's 13? There it is, down there. So again, we route it underneath the board. Okay, pin 14, which is not that one, it's that one, which goes under there on the right hand side. So again, underneath the board. Now we make all of the clocks in very similar ways with the exception of the desk clocks. Pin number 15, just down there. The desk clocks, of course, are a single circuit board, so there's none of this hand wiring. This is number 16, down all the way down the bottom. There it is. Now we can round it the rest of the way. 16. pin number 17. Now remember, 18 and 20 we don't connect up to anything. So this is 17, and then we'll skip the next two. Bang. 18 we skip, trim, bin, 19 we'll use, and 20 we'll skip. Where was 19? 19 is over here. You can see how much simpler numbering all of the connections makes doing the wiring job. 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, beautiful. 21 goes down here. Two. 23, all the way down the bottom. As you can see, this wiring job is not particularly complex. There's a lot of it. It may seem a little bit daunting at first, but if you take it methodically, 24 over there. If you take it methodically, then it's actually surprisingly achievable. 25. That said, I don't sit down doing wiring all day. Neither does Catherine. We do a few frames, have a cuppa, do something else. Otherwise we'll probably go mad. Maybe we are mad. Who knows. 25. And 26 down there. Wacky-doo. Okay. So that's all of our wires in place. Now it does look a little bit messy, but that's okay. This is on the inside of the clock and you'll never ever see it. And the wiring will become significantly neater once we tie up the other ends. First thing, we're going to grab pin number 9. So we grab our little piece of wire there. We grab our link wire. We can either cut through it or we can strip it, whichever one you want to do. I actually prefer to just strip it. Wrap the wire around the spot where we're going to make the join. This is our pin number 9, this is our anode, and we can make the solder joint. Simple as that. Now, I don't normally put any insulation on this because A, it's on the inside of the appliance, B, there's nowhere for it to short, so it can just sit there. It's totally fine. So the next step is to finish pulling all the wiring through. You'll see that we've got an absolute mess. So we start by pulling the wire through and trim it. Pull, trim, pull the wire through, give it a trim. I do 3 rows at a time. There they are. Then we can strip these. Some people use a pair of pliers. A pair of pliers is probably helpful. Get in, hold the wire with the pliers, give it a strip. Try 2. Hold the wire. It must be late in the day. Normally this is easier for me. That's okay. Done, 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 done. This one can be done. That one's got to be done. And this one's got to be done. Okay, so that sticks. Now we grab our trusty old soldering iron, give the tip a bit of a clean, come through here, tin all of the wires that we're about to make connections to. And if we tin the wires first, making the connection is really simple. I use tweezers again, grab the wire, round it in, make the connection. Sometimes you may discover that you weren't happy with the level of tinning on a joint. It's okay, do it again. None of this is hard, just methodical. Now there's a really important thing, and that is to make sure when you're doing any of the soldering in here that when you strip a piece of wire, you want about 1 millimetre worth of stripped end. You do not want ½ an inch of bare wire floating out. ½ an inch of bare wire will cause all sorts of shorts and problems later on. So just work hard to make sure that you only have a millimetre worth of wire. So I make the wire about the length. Actually, I'll trim these two just to make it cleaner. You make the wire about the length, about the height of the light cell, which is about 20-25 millimetres. Save some of these; they'll be useful in a minute. Get in, strip the wires. Going on here. Behave, thank you. One at a time. Beautiful. You can see that they come together really quickly at this particular stage. It's just a case of doing the individual wires, a bit of tuning, solder them in place. All tinned. Now one at a time, connect them through to that negative connection of each LED. Simple as that. This clock will be beautiful and bright in just a minute. We'll be able to test it. Add it to the pile of clocks that are on test. I'll skip that one because I'll turn the frame around completely. Now this one in here is an interesting case because if you can see the wire, it's completely covering the connection. So move the frame around, grab hold of the lead, move it so that you've got some space to work. Grab the connection. In we go. There we go. Done. And this one, I'll turn the frame around. Beautiful. Simple as that. Okay, frame's now connected from that perspective. Now you'll see that the act of pulling the leads through has tightened that up nicely so it actually looks nice. The next step is to fit the power socket. And so we fit the power socket by taking the protective paper off the bottom of the clock. We grab the socket, mount it. Now just a little image for you. This centre pin, which gets connected out to this side, that's the positive connection, and that connection down there is the negative connection. So we'll wire those up. Beautiful, nice and firm. Now we grab some of our wire. Got a little piece here which conveniently has a red line. Twist it together. You don't have to twist yours, that's okay. I just twist it so it looks a little bit neater. So now we strip it. I didn't tell you about getting a little flathead screwdriver for making the connection to the board. I'll grab that in just a second. So first thing we need to do is we just need to tin these wire ends before we solder to them. Now did you notice that I just trimmed those and folded them over on the other side? We do that so that we can connect to the board. So solder the positive. Simple as that. Solder the negative. Simple as that. There we go. Flat bladed screwdriver. Undo the screw connector. I just use a little pair of tweezers to make sure the connections are nice and open and waiting. Plus in there. It's fortunate with the wire length, I wouldn't have wanted to make it too much shorter. The important thing is the wire's not actually tight. See how there's still a little bit of movement? It's okay. Make sure that they're done up firmly, not insanely tight. Now, source of 12 volts, connect it, verify that the power light lights up, and if we turn the clock over, plug it in again, should start the self-test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Must have done this before. to show you how we do the wiring of the little button board. Okay, so we start off. Here's the button board. Now the button board is going to be mounted behind the time setting holes. So there are two corner screws. We originally did it with 4, and then I noticed that it was looking a little on the ugly side, to be honest. So we decided to do it with just 2, and that looks a lot cleaner. Here's the second one, 2. Now, I just put the buttons onto the board gently without soldering them first. I do that because it gives me just a little bit of play to deal with any hole misalignment issues. I used to solder them on first and then go, it doesn't exactly line up perfectly, etc. But we start off by, they're in place, they're not soldered. So it can go into the holes, screw the little board in place, second screw. Now of course all the wiring details are in the manual. Now verify that we can push it. Hear that clicking sound? That tells us that the buttons are actually lined up perfectly. Once we're happy with their alignment, we can then solder them in place. Now of course when you're soldering them in place, we've just got to be gentle not to melt the little screws. Now I'll tin the 3 holes. Now to make it easier for me, I'll just grab 3 lengths of cable that are joined together. Cable's definitely long enough. Strip the ends. 1, 2. Separate them out. Now, I used to get all sorts of questions from people about how to wire up the button board, and I was a little bit confused about that because it turns out it's actually really simple. I don't think I was communicating it particularly well. Essentially there are 3 connections on the button board. It's left, middle and centre. There we go, connections made. Measure the length. Left connection, left, middle, middle, right, right. Hey, I said left, middle and centre. It's funny the things that you actually realise that you say later on. You don't actually remember having done it. I've reviewed a few of the videos that I've made in the past and I just have word lookup errors, but there we go. Left connection to the left one, middle to the middle, right to the right. Fold, fold, fold. Slide them all into the little sockets gently until they're home. Little screwdriver. One, 2, 3. Beautiful. Turn it over. Apply power. Let it do its self-test. And guess what? This video is basically finished. Little washers that don't quite fit. So here we go, moment of truth. Self-test is passed. Does the flashing, displays the version number of the software, which in this case is 3. Time set minus sets the time backwards. Time set plus sets the time forwards. Simple as that. There we go. That's how to wire up a frame for a Doug's WordClock clock. Now of course if we place remember I don't have a diffuser in this, but if I just place a sheet over the top, you can see that we can go minus. It's 10 past 10. It's 5 minutes past 10. It's 10 o'clock. Simple as that. This clock, apart from sitting on test now for the next probably 5 or so days, is happy as Larry. There you go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope it wasn't terribly boring, and I'll catch up with you later. See you guys. Bye.